Hello, I'm Cath and this is Made by Cath Craft. Welcome to my channel and also to this video, which is one I'm really looking forward to filming this week. I haven't made one of these videos for quite a while, but what I'm planning to do this week is pop on every day and film a little bit each day, sharing what I'm up to on the sewing front and also what I'm wearing for my handmade wardrobe. And just what I'm up to in life in general too. So for example, if I go out on a nice walk, I'll try and take you along with me. So hopefully it should be lots of sewing, lots of chat, a bit of life. And yeah, it's just really fun to be filming one of these, again, having not done one for a while. So that's the plan. And I'm starting today, which is Monday. It's Monday morning here right now, and the house is quite quiet. My husband is here, but he's upstairs working. The children are at school, and it's actually a really nice day weather-wise at the moment. I say at the moment because when I took my children up to school, on the way back, there was an unexpected quite heavy rain shower. Luckily, it moved on quite quickly and the sun's shining outside at the moment, but I'm not sure what's going to happen next because it wasn't supposed to rain earlier. But yeah, it's a really nice day at the moment. And actually, I'm looking forward to doing a bit of sewing this morning, which should be really nice. So I'll talk about what I'm sewing in a moment, but I'll mention first what I'm wearing today for my handmade wardrobe. And today I've got on jeans and a handmade sweatshirt. And at the moment, I'm really enjoying reaching for some of my wintry garments I haven't seen since last winter. Although we didn't have a really hot summer, it was definitely mild. And yeah, I just haven't worn any of my cozy clothes for a while. So I'm looking forward to getting out some of them this week now the temperature's definitely dropped. So today I'm wearing one of my Mile End sweatshirts by Closet Core Patterns. I really love the Mile End sweatshirt pattern. You'll probably know if you've been watching my channel for a while. I've got a few of them. It's funny actually, this morning when I put this on, I was thinking to myself, do I like the Megan Nielsen Jarrah best or do I like the Mile End best? And I couldn't decide. I think that I really love the details on the Mile End sweatshirt, and I'll show you a few in a moment, but I love the versatility of the Jarrah. So I think that's where I got to this morning. I don't know if you're the same, just sometimes I just thinking about sewing and different kind of sewing questions in my head. It's one of those hobbies that I think is easy to get distracted from life and just into a little bit of a sewing sort of bubble. So that's what I was thinking about this morning. But I do love the Mile End sweatshirt. It's definitely one of my top two. And the version I'm wearing today was actually one I made out of scraps from two other Mile End sweatshirts I have. And they're both, sweatshirts are made in this lovely fabric, which is a fleece backed sweatshirt fabric by Mind the Maker. I made one, as you can see, in a lilac and one in a sage green. And it is such nice fabric. I've actually bought it in another colour too. I've got another Mile End sweatshirt as well in a creamy colour too. It's just really cosy and soft to wear. And I love that you can get matching ribbing in exactly the same shade. So yeah, I'll link the fabric down below. Actually, when I wore a different one of my Mile End sweatshirts last week, I had a little sneaky peek on the Minerva website and I was looking at all the colours and thinking I'd love to make another one for this year, but I thought, I'm not sure I can justify it because I do have a few already. But yeah, I do really love it. But I was really pleased to be able to squeeze this version out of my scraps. It's a bit more cropped than my other versions, although I think actually I lengthened my other versions, and this version I didn't lengthen, I just left as the pattern intended it. So I think the pattern does come up a little bit cropped on me. I'll stand a bit so you can see. So it kind of just skirts around the top of my jeans. But I quite like that. It's a bit different to my other ones, which are a bit longer. But yeah, I just had a bit of fun with the fabric. So I've got the sage green on the front and also on the yoke at the back. I like that detail of the sweatshirt. And then sort of the sage green ribbing for the cuffs. And I've got the lilac on the sleeves and on the back and on the lilac ribbing on the neckband. And what I like about this colour block version is you can really see some of the lovely details really clearly, like the yoke and also the angled seams at the front. It's really nice and clear. And I love the sleeve darts on this pattern too. I remember thinking when I made my first version, sleeve darts on a jersey pattern just seems a bit random, but I love that detail and it creates a really nice shape. So yes, that's what I'm wearing today. It's keeping me nice and cozy, and I'll link the fabric and the pattern down below. But I'll move on now to talking about what I'm planning to sew today. And you can probably see the fabric here, and it might look familiar to you because I know I've talked about it in recent videos. So what I'm planning on making is a Davenport dress by Friday Pattern Co. in this gorgeous fabric. I've got a bit here, so I'll hold it up. This is a meat milk fabric, and it's one of their Tencel twills. So it's lovely. It's a bit more heavyweight than a viscose challis type fabric, but it's still got a lovely drape, even though it's got some weight to it. And it's got almost like a flannelly soft feel to it. It's not like a slippery, shiny feeling fabric. It's a bit more almost textured and really soft. It does remind me a little bit of a flannel. And yeah, I've got this colour here, which is like a forest green colour in different tones. I don't think this colour is available anymore, but there are quite a few other colours that are available. I'll link the fabric down below. When I looked last, it didn't look like this one was showing as an option. But I've had this fabric for quite a while, as you'll know if you've been watching my channel for a while. And I finally decided to sew it up in September for the Precious Fabrics Challenge, which was running in September. But obviously we're into October now, and I didn't quite get the chance to sew it up for the Precious Fabrics Challenge deadline at the end of September. Life got in the way a little bit. But I was determined still to continue momentum on this pattern, so I got it all cut out, and I'm now at the sewing stage, the really fun bit. Although actually I did quite enjoy cutting it out. I do quite enjoy cutting check fabric out because it's, I guess, with a slightly shifty fabric, sometimes it can be hard to make sure you get all the pieces nice and even across the grain, and and with the checks it does help a little bit on that front. So yeah, I took my time cutting out. Got lots and lots of pattern pieces because the Davenport dress has lots of pattern pieces. I'll just show you the dress here. It's probably one you're familiar with, and I thought it was quite a good pattern to go for this, to use this Precious Fabrics. It's one I know I really like. And I'm aware of my versions I've made already, so I thought it wasn't too risky to choose this pattern for this fabric, and I thought it would go nicely. Hopefully it will. It's a lovely woven dress pattern with this sort of blousey bodice with gathering at the front neckline. Here's a little piece of elastic that cinches in there. It's got these cute little shoulder yokes and a back yoke and more gathering there. These little flutter shoulders, a drawstring waist that cinches it in, slash pockets, a ruffle. And then the sleeves of the pattern are designed to be like a balloon sleeve with a ruffle at the bottom. But actually for my version and for my previous versions too, I've always slimmed the sleeves down a bit because I'm not too much of a fan of a balloon sleeve on me. And also I'm planning to just do a simple elastic channel at the wrist rather than the extra ruffle. Again, I just wanted to simplify it a little bit because I think there's so many details on this pattern. I feel like it might wear me if I went for all the details. So it's nice to just simplify a little bit down. So that is what I've done. So all the pattern pieces are cut out, and I did a bit of sewing last week, so I've made some progress, so I'll show you where I'm at with it. And what I like about the Davenport dress pattern is, even though it's quite complicated just because there are lots of steps to it, I don't know whether it's an intermediate pattern, but the steps are really broken down into manageable little pieces, so it doesn't feel too daunting. Each step on its own doesn't feel too tricky. It's just a matter of not being overwhelmed by the whole process and just taking your time on each individual step. So it's a really lovely pattern for that. And I do find Friday Pattern Co patterns are sort of written really clearly with very clear diagrams too. So if you fancy giving it a go, I'd really recommend it. Just take each step at a time and don't be overwhelmed by the number of pattern pieces. It does just come together very gradually. It's not one that's a quick sew, but it's quite satisfying, I'd say. So I've been mainly working on the bodice so far. So here is where I've got to. So you can see I've got the elastic at the front neckline there. And it does feel a little bit thicker there with the elastic because this fabric's a bit more heavyweight than my versions before that I've made in a viscose challis. But it doesn't feel too bulky. But I think if the fabric got much more bulky, it might feel a bit too bulky there. And it's got this lovely little sort of shoulder yoke. And at the back, you can see it's got the little gathering underneath the yoke. And that seam there is all enclosed. You do the Bonito method, so you've got two pieces of the back yoke on the front and on the inside too. So the seam's all enclosed at the back, which I think is a really nice finish. And I did mull over the idea for this back yoke piece for cutting it sort of as a diamond shape really, rather than a straight check, just to add a bit of interest and play with the checks a little bit. So I was really tempted, but I thought again, because the pattern is quite busy, I wanted to keep it as simple as possible. So I decided just to cut as I did for the rest of the pattern pieces in the end. And I thought it would match the little front pieces there as well. So I don't know whether I might regret that when it's finished, but my gut was just telling me to keep it simple. So that's what I did. So yeah, that's where I've got to. And then the piece I held up before to show the fabric, this is actually one of the sleeve flutters that go here. You kind of gather them in. And I'm not sure whether I'm going to add them or not, but I thought what I'd do is I'd cut them out and maybe base them in place and see how they feel. I think they'll stick out a bit more in this fabric than in a lighter weight viscose, which might drape a bit more. So they might feel too much, but then I thought actually, I do quite like the detail on my other dresses. So I thought I'll give them a go, maybe base them on, see how they feel, and then I can always take them back off again and sew the dress up without them. So I've got one I've sewn little sort of line there at the edge, and this one I haven't quite sewn yet. I've just folded it over, ready to go. So yeah, I'll have to make a decision about that. So I'll probably make a decision over the next couple of days when I get to that point in the sewing process. And then over here, this piece is part of the skirt and the pockets. I've just started sewing the pockets together. So yeah, it's starting to take shape, but doesn't quite resemble a dress yet, but I'm really enjoying sewing it. And actually this fabric is easier to sew with than I expected. It feels more stable and less shifty than a viscose, sort of shelly, lighter weight, drapey fabric. I think because it's got this sort of flannelly soft texture, it doesn't seem to be as slippery and shifty, so I'm really enjoying sewing with it. And I think it's going to be a really cosy dress. So yeah, I'm looking forward to working on it this week and making some more progress. So that's what's on my sewing table and what I'm going to be doing this morning. So I think what I'll do is I'll finish off here. I'll either pop back on a little bit later and share with you how I'm getting on and what progress I've made, or it'll be tomorrow morning, depending on how I get on today. So yeah, hopefully it's going to be a fun video this week. I'm really looking forward to popping on every day and just, yeah, bring you along as I go about my daily life and chat about sewing. So yeah, I'll see you again either later or tomorrow. So I'll say bye for now. Bye. I thought I'd pop on again now and share with you the progress that I've made this morning on my Davenport dress. It's coming up to lunchtime here now, so I've got one more step that I want to finish, and then I think I'm going to tidy everything up and get myself some lunch. So I thought now is a good time to share what I've been up to. So this morning I've mainly been working on the skirt of the Davenport dress, and I've been working on the main skirt section that has the pockets that attaches to the bodice. I haven't done anything with the ruffle yet. So I've sewn the pockets in, and I've sewn the skirt front to the skirt back. And now I'm at the stage of attaching the drawstring casing, which goes around the top of the skirt. So it's this step here in the pattern. So I've got the casing all prepared and attached to the skirt, and I need to edge stitch around the bottom here to secure the casing, and then the top of the casing will get secured when I sew the skirt piece to the bodice. And I've just started sewing the casing on, edge stitching along the bottom, and it reminded me that this can be a bit of a fiddly step of the process. So I thought I'd share with you what I'm doing to make it a bit less fiddly. Because what I find is, so the drawstring casing pieces are designed to fit perfectly around the top of the skirt, so they're sort of the same size of the skirt, other than this little gap at the front for the casing to feed out. So it should really fit nicely and sew nicely together. But what I find is sometimes the casing can stretch out a little bit as you sew, more than the skirt is underneath. I do find generally with sewing, if a layer is going to stretch out, it's more likely to be the top layer than the bottom layer, which stays more stable underneath. But also, with these casing pieces, the way they're drafted is the same shape as the top of the skirt. So they're drafted with a slight curve to them, they're not totally straight, it's quite a subtle curve. But because they're not sort of cut totally on the cross grain, they're maybe cut very slightly on the bias because of that slight curve, I think it means they're slightly more likely to stretch out as well. They're not quite as stable. So I find it's quite important to spend the time really securing them all in place. Otherwise, even if you just get a little bit of stretch on the way round, you can end up with little rucks where you have to kind of correct the stretch to sort of get it all to fit nicely. Or by the time you get around to the other side of the edge stitching, your front bit can end up a bit wonky and stretch too far over and close that gap. So it's definitely worth spending the time on this step. So what I'll do is I've just started sewing it. I've got it here. So I'm going to turn the camera around and show you how I've got it all ready to make it a bit easier to sew that casing without too much risk of it stretching out. So I'll turn the camera around now and show you what I've been doing. So here is my skirt piece with the drawstring casing all pinned around the top here. And I've just been edge stitching and working my way around the back and coming around to the front. You can see it's the front because here is the slash pocket. And I've got a pin here right on the seam line of the drawstring casing and down to the seam line of the skirt side seam to hopefully get that really nice and matched up as I go through there with my machine. But what I've done to make it all a little bit easier and a bit more stable to sort of stop that risk of stretching, or at least ease it a little bit, is I've added on clips at the top as well as the pins along the bottom, so kind of like double holding it in place. And I find that works really well because these clips, they're not too close to the bottom edge, so I don't need to take them off as I sew round. They don't get in the way of the foot at all, so I keep them on there and then just move the pins as I go. And I find the combination just seems to help add a little bit of extra stability and to keep that drawstring casing from stretching out too much. It's been working nicely and I'm not too far away from this seam here, and as you can see the fabric's still lying nice and flat. It doesn't look like there's going to be any risk of this seam shifting this way as I sew to there. So I find that combination really helps, and it's worth spending the time on the double clip and pin approach. I also have got my walking foot engaged. I'll just move around the back so you can see. I've got a Pfaff machine which has a built-in walking foot, which is called the IDT system, which you can just engage and disengage quite easily. But I find I use it on a lot of things. It's so useful, and especially on something like this where you want everything to be fed through really evenly. So I just need now to finish edge stitching along here. It looks a bit wobbly, but I think that's just how the pins are holding it. Once actually it's all sewn down, it'll be a bit more smooth looking. And I've just got to go around the front here, right round here to the front here, where the drawstring casing has a gap at the front for the actual drawstring to come through. So not too much more to do now, and then I'm going to finish up and have some lunch. So I'll finish off today's video here, and I'll see you again tomorrow. So yeah, see you tomorrow. Bye. It's Tuesday here now, and it is a very rainy, overcast Tuesday here today. We definitely haven't seen any blue sky here today. It rained all the way up to school on the school run and all the way back, and it's pretty much been raining ever since. Although there was a brief break in the rain a little earlier, and I managed to pop out and pick a few runner beans from our runner bean plants we've been growing. So I was pleased about that. We can have them for dinner. We've only grown runner beans this year. We're a little bit limited for space outside, so runner beans work really well because they obviously grow up rather than out. We've actually had a really good crop this year, so that's been nice. I feel like it varies quite a lot from year to year, but yeah, this year's been a good year. So I was pleased to be able to pop out for those. And then otherwise this morning, I've been doing a few jobs around the house, and I have also managed to do a little bit of sewing. So I thought now is a good time to pop on and share with you the progress I've been making this morning on my Davenport dress, because I've made some more good progress. And I thought I'd also share what I'm wearing today from my handmade wardrobe. I'll start with that. So today I've got on a jersey dress, a nice cozy one, and you may well recognise it from the top part of the pattern. It's one of my favourites. It is the Freya top and dress pattern by Tilly and the Buttons, which is in this book here, the Stretch book. It's one of Tilly's older books now. But I love the Freya top and dress. I do have more Freya tops than dresses, but I find this dress is perfect for a nice cozy, comfy, wintry type dress. I'll show you the line drawings of it so you can see how the dress looks. You may well be familiar with it, but here it is. So it's got this mock turtleneck neckline, although there are a couple of other neckline variations also included in the book. And then it's quite a close fitting sleeve and bodice, and then it sort of skirts out, tapers out into an A-line sort of mini skirt. And yeah, it's just really nice and comfy to wear, and I quite like this neckline because it's cozy but it's not too tight and restrictive. It doesn't really hug your neck, it sits a little bit out, which I quite like. And the version I'm wearing today is really old. It's a few years old, but it's washed and worn really well, I think. It's a cotton jersey, and it's not, the navy colour isn't printed on, it's navy through and through, you can see on the inside. So I think that means it hasn't sort of faded in the wash too much. And it's got this print on. I think with the Freya, because it's quite a simple silhouette, you can make it in quite a fun print. So this one is a print with bees all over it. Yeah, which I think I probably wouldn't go for this print now. Maybe my taste has changed a little bit. And I think I made this when I was fairly new to sewing and I was loving all the prints. But I still really enjoy wearing it. I like the fact that it's got the navy. I do like navy and it feels quite nice and wintry and cosy. And I think it is quite a fun print, so I do still really enjoy wearing this one. And I'll put a picture up so you can see what it looks like on. I just had it on this morning with my Doc Marten boots, which are perfect for wet weather. So yeah, that's what I'm wearing. I do always think when I talk about the Freya, I'd love to try the True Bias Nico top, which is really similar to the Freya. The dress is a bit different. I'd really like to try it and see how they compare, because I know that one's really popular too, and it also has a bigger size range. So at some point I really do want to do a comparison of those two. So hopefully I'll get around to that at some point. But I love the Freya so much. It's hard to imagine the Nico could be any better in terms of a fit for me, but I would, yeah, still like to try it. So that's what I'm wearing today. And then I'll share with you what I've been doing on my Davenport dress. So I mentioned yesterday how I wasn't sure if I was going to add the little flutter on the shoulder or not. And I thought I might baste it in and then just see if I thought it was too much or not. And what I decided to do in the end was I thought I'd put it on one side and not the other side, and then compare and see what I like best. So here's my bodice. I've got this little flutter bit on this side and not on this sleeve, so you can see there. And at the moment what I've done is I've just clipped the side seams and the side seams and the sleeve seams together so I can try it on, and just before I go and sew all the seams with save me unpicking more, I thought I'd try it on like this and see what looks best. So I think what I'll do is I'll turn off for a moment, get this on, and you can see how each options look. I'm curious to see what they do each look like, because I never made the Davenport dress without the flutter before, so I don't know how the shoulder looks without it on. But I do quite like how it's hanging here. You can see because it's a bit of a heavier fabric, although it's has a bit more body to it than the versions I've made before in viscose, challis, lighter weight fabrics. Because it's a bit heavier and a bit drapey, it does sort of still hang down rather than totally stick out. So I quite like the look of it just here, but also how it looks on me. So I'll turn off now, pop this on, and show you the difference in the two shoulders. Okay, so I've got my Davenport dress bodice on now, and I did initially try it on over my Freya dress. I thought maybe I could get away with not taking that off, but I just found the neckline of the Freya peeking up here was too much of a distraction, so I ended up changing outfit, and now I've got this bodice on just with a pair of leggings, just so I can see how it looks, and it's all nice and just how it will be without anything distracting, any bees here. I can see the neckline and the shoulders all as it'll be, depending on what I choose. So you can see I've got the flutter on this shoulder and no flutter on this shoulder. And yeah, it's interesting to see the difference actually. I think the flutter's sticking up a little bit more now it's on me than it was when I was just holding it up. I think because it's sort of lying flat here, it's almost sort of pulling it up a little bit. But if I do decide to go for the flutter, I will probably press it down a little bit to finish this seam off. But I didn't want to do that yet until I make a decision and start to sort of finalise and finish the dress. So it probably won't stick out quite as much. But yeah, it's interesting to see what the Davenport dress looks like without the flutter on it. I probably have seen some versions go by on Instagram, but I don't remember them too much, and I haven't seen it on me like that. And I quite like it too. It's a bit more simple, and I can imagine it'll be easier to put a cardigan over the top as well, because this could easily get a bit ruffled around trying to put a cardigan on and then having to get it to lay flat and feeling a bit bulky there. So I can see a kind of practical advantage of not having the ruffle on. And I guess it will sort of pull in a bit like this with the drawstring. The one thing I'm thinking is, I guess the Davenport, how the Davenport dress has been designed is that the flutter seems to balance out against the sort of ruffle at the bottom of the skirt, which is quite full. So it kind of balances out like that. So without the ruffle, I don't know whether it would look a bit less balanced than it's designed to do. I'm not sure. I think what I'm going to do is have a little look on Instagram, see if I can find a few versions that have omitted the ruffle. There must be some there, and see what they look like with a full dress attached. And also have a little look in the mirror and just have a little, yeah, maybe take a couple of photographs and have a think about it. I think either would be nice. It's just making a decision on which way I want to go. But yeah, I think I'm going to mull it over for a little bit. I can carry on working on the Davenport dress anyway. I still need to attach the bottom ruffle to the main skirt piece, so I can work on that while I have a little think. Yeah, so yeah, I'll have a little think and hopefully come up with a decision either way. But I think now I'm going to go and get changed back into my Freya dress, so I'm nice and cozy again. So I'll finish this bit off here and I'll catch you again a little bit later. So yeah, see you a bit later. Bye. So I'm just on the school run now. It's that time of the afternoon and it had stopped raining, but then it started again just before I had to go out, which was typical. It really poured down, but now it's actually eased off it, which is nice. So I'm gonna head up to school and yeah, I'll see you again later or probably tomorrow. So yeah, see you probably tomorrow. Bye. Hello, it's Wednesday here now and it's about mid-morning here at the moment, and I've got the house to myself today because my husband has gone into the office. And this morning I haven't done any sewing, but I have been having a bit of a sort out of my handmade wardrobe. So I thought you might be interested to see what I've been up to. I was in that mood this morning for doing a bit of organising. So I've been sewing now for a few years. I think I started in late 2018. And over the years, I've amassed quite a few items of handmade clothing, as you can imagine, particularly when I was very new to sewing at the beginning. I was so enthusiastic and I sewed up quite a few things quite quickly. And I don't have everything still I've ever sewn. I have let go of some things over the years, but I do still have quite a lot of handmade clothes now, and my wardrobe and chest of drawers are really, really full. And I find them a bit overwhelming these days. I just have too many clothes and I don't wear them all. So I've been thinking for a while, I need to have a good old clear out and just let some items go that I'm not really reaching for. So a few weeks ago, what I did was I had a look through some of my drawers and my wardrobe and I kind of pulled out things I wasn't sure about, and I put them in a couple of Kallax boxes, you know, the IKEA boxes. I have a little unit in my room that we moved out of my daughter's room when we were sort of moving her room about, and it was kind of sitting mostly empty. So I thought I'd put in there the items I wasn't really sure about and thought I might like to let go. And then I'd let them sit in there for a little bit and I'd get them back out a bit later and make a decision either way. So I've been having a look this morning and I've pulled out a few garments I would like to get rid of. So I thought I'd talk them through, share them with you and talk through why I'm not really reaching for them. I think it'll be quite good to just have a bit of a clear out and get down to those items that I love and that I do wear regularly, rather than just looking at my drawers and thinking, oh my gosh, there's just too many things to choose from, when some of them aren't really options I'd go for anyway. So yes, I've got a little pile here and I thought you might be interested to see what these garments are. Some of them might look familiar from previous videos over the years. So yeah, I'll get started and I'll share the first garment that I'd like to let go of. And this one, I'll hold it up. You can't really see it very easily because it's a black garment. But I've got the pattern here so I can show you the pattern. I couldn't remember the name of the pattern, so I had to pull it out. This is a dress, a black dress, and I made it using this pattern here, which is a New Look 6682 pattern. I made this a couple of years ago because I really fancied giving a new Big Four pattern a go, because I often do tend to sew the indie patterns. And I see this one, I like the look of it. I thought it was a really pretty dress silhouette. So I decided to make this version here. I just thought I'd quite enjoy working through a Big Four pattern and seeing how I found the instructions. I remember finding them a bit daunting when I first started sewing, and I thought it'd be interesting to try them a few years later and see if I found them easier to follow with a bit more sewing experience under my belt. But it's a woven dress pattern. And yeah, I decided to make this version here, and I made it, it's kind of like a wearable toile. I thought I might go on to make another version and maybe a printed fabric. And I just use this black viscose challis fabric for my wearable toile version. It's got this interesting neckline that's sort of pleated, which I found really tricky. And it's got these little rouleau loop buttons at the back and a zip down the back. And these sleeves that have these cuffs. And yeah, I did enjoy the process of sewing it. But I just found when I finished it and I put it on, it really felt like it was just too much fabric, too much dress, and it felt like it was just wearing me. I also think I lengthened the body a little bit, which is something I often do on patterns, and I needn't have on this one. So I felt like it was sitting a bit low as well, which just made it feel a bit too big for me as well. So I've never actually worn it out anywhere. And I did have a couple of, maybe it might have been last year, mull over the idea of maybe upcycling it and trying to make it work better, maybe taking off the sleeves. But there's just too much about it that I don't love. I find the neckline, because it's this sort of double-sided pleated, it's quite thick, and I find it's just a bit too, it doesn't feel so good around my neck. I just find it a bit restrictive feeling, and I just don't have much appetite really to spend the time upcycling it. Just not sure I'll ever wear it, whatever I do with it. So yeah, it is a bit of a shame, but I enjoyed trying the pattern. But yeah, it's just one that I just don't think I'm going to wear, and it's just taking up space. So that is the first thing I'm going to let go of. I don't know whether I'd try this pattern again or not. It was quite fiddly and involved, and I'm just not sure I love it enough to take the time to go through the whole process again and try and get a better fit. And I do feel like for me, a dress that's long with high neck and with sleeves, it just feels too much. It doesn't feel like my style. It feels a bit overwhelming on me. So that is the first garment that I think is definitely in the going pile. The next one is actually one I have worn a lot over the years, and it's an early make, this one of my earliest sweatshirt makes, and it's this sweatshirt here. I made this using the Linden sweatshirt pattern by Grainline Studio, which I couldn't actually find in my pattern collection. I've got a couple of the Grainline patterns, they should all be together, but I couldn't find this one. But it's a sweatshirt with a raglan sleeve, you can see it there. And it's just quite a straight fit. I think I might have taken mine in a little bit to make it a bit more fitted. And I made it in this sort of loop back jersey French terry fabric. I can't remember where it came from, it was so long ago. And I have worn this a lot and enjoyed wearing it, but I just feel like it's not what I'm reaching for anymore. The neckline is not my best ever neckline. I think it's kind of stretched out a little bit, and it's a bit wrinkly around the raglan sleeve here. It just doesn't sit so well when I'm wearing it, and I notice that these days. I think ribbing probably would have been better rather than using the fabric. And I just think this colour isn't totally my colour, this light pink colour. So yeah, I just don't love it, and I just don't reach for it so much these days. Although I have worn it a lot, I think it's time to let it go. So yeah, it was much loved for quite a while, but yeah, I think now is the time to hand it on, because yeah, I'm not just reaching for it that much and wearing it anymore, and I've got other sweatshirts I tend to choose over it. So that is the next garment. So the next garment that I'm planning to let go of is another dress. It's another dress made out of viscose challis, and I'll hold it up so you can see what this one looks like. So this one I made in this pretty printed viscose fabric, and I remember really loving this fabric when I originally got it. It's got this lovely dark blue background with these pretty little flowers and petals on that remind me of blossom. And I made this dress using a pattern that's been really, really popular. It was popular for ages, I think. It's this pattern here, the indigo top and dress pattern by Tilly and the Buttons. So it's a woven smock top and dress pattern, so designed to be quite loose fitting. And I made the dress version here with these simple bracelet sleeves, but I added on this detail of this little ruffle seam around the middle. So yeah, I remember being really pleased with this dress when I made it. I really loved it at first, but having worn it since, I'm just conscious this pattern, the indigo dress pattern, just doesn't seem to fit me that well. And this is the first version I made, so I pretty much made it out of the pattern envelope. And I find it just feels very tight across my shoulders and back. So I think I maybe needed to make some sort of broad back or broad shoulder adjustment there, because it feels quite restrictive when I'm wearing it. And I also find under the arm here, it feels quite tight too. So the whole upper body just needs some tweaks, I think, to fit me better. And then because it's quite loose fitting as well, it doesn't feel that flattering on me. I just feel there are other dresses I wear that I feel better in. I often do like a dress that's more cinched in around the waist, I think. Yeah, the bracelet sleeve length, it sort of comes down to here. And I think I've thought about it afterwards and thought that's not my favourite sleeve length either. So there's a lot of things about this dress that just don't feel quite right. I think it's one that I like more on the hanger than I do on myself. Also, the little ruffle around the middle, I really liked it at first, but I found with washing it a few times, it's really hard to get it to sit nicely. It's really fiddly to iron, so it just looks a bit scrunched now. So yeah, it's not what I'm reaching for anymore. Even though I love the fabric, I just don't feel so great wearing it. So, and it doesn't feel that comfy to wear either. So I think it's one that I'm going to let go. which is a shame, but yeah, if it doesn't fit great and I don't feel great in it, it's not one to keep. And then the next thing I'm planning on letting go of is a pair of shorts. And this is a pair of shorts I made quite a long time ago, actually. So yeah, it was definitely on the earlier side of my makes, and I'll hold them up here. And I made them using a really lovely pattern, which is this one here, the Flint Shorts and Trousers pattern by Megan Nielsen. This is such a nice pattern for a pair of sort of trousers and shorts that are sort of close fitting around the waist, and then they sort of flare out into these lovely loose leg trousers or shorts. And there's some really lovely details. There's little pleats at the front, and then there are darts at the back to give really nice shaping. There are pockets, and you can finish them at the waistline either with a little tie or buttons. And I've made 2 pairs of the Flint shorts. And the first pair I really love. I made them in a black linen viscose blend. And there was more linen than viscose in that blend. So they sort of sit really nicely and hold the shape and really show off the sort of shape of this pattern. And I like them so much, I decided to make another pair, and I chose this sort of bright red fabric. Which actually, as you can see on the camera, it's got a bit of an orangey tint to it, so it's not totally a red that's quite right for me. I think it's a bit too warm, maybe, with the orangey tones, but I guess it doesn't matter too much because it's not in my face. But yeah, it's not quite my red. But anyway, when I bought this fabric, it was another linen viscose blend, but this fabric has a higher viscose content than linen content, so it's a lot more drapey than my first pair. And I just don't find this fabric suits this shorts pattern as well. When I wear them, they don't hold the shape nicely as the first pair do. And also around the waistline, the front waist, you can maybe see it a little bit there. It kind of tends to sort of sag out a little bit and fall forwards. I think maybe I should have gone for maybe a thicker interfacing there so it sits more snugly. But it just doesn't seem to fit quite right. They don't feel great when I wear them like my other pair do. And I'm just not reaching for them. I have other shorts that I would choose over these ones. So yeah, I think it's one of those things where hindsight's a wonderful thing, and I maybe wouldn't have chosen this fabric. I hadn't realised how much difference the viscose linen sort of percentages would make. But yeah, I guess you do learn with sewing, don't you, over time when you buy fabrics, what works better and what works not so well. So yeah, I just don't reach them. I find they crinkle quite a lot, which I guess linen does. And they just end up looking they just don't look that sharp when I'm wearing them compared to my first pair. So yeah, I don't really reach them, which is a bit of a shame, but yeah. I haven't worn them for so long and they are just sitting there taking up space, and I think I need to let them go. So yes, I have got a few more garments I'm planning to let go too, but I'm conscious this video is going to end up really long if I go through many more. So I think I'll finish off talking about my garments I'm planning to let go of now. And if you enjoyed this section, let me know, and I might do another video talking about some other items that I'm planning to hand on from my handmade wardrobe and why I'm planning to hand them on. But yeah, it was nice to talk through those ones. And I've just realised I haven't mentioned what I'm wearing today. Today I've got on a skirt and top combination. The top is another Freya top by Tilly the Buttons, this time in a plain black cotton jersey. And I wanted to wear something plain on top to make my skirt the sort of feature of the outfit today. And this is a very new make that I wanted to get wearing. I'll stand up a bit so you can see it. I shared this make, I think just last week in my video last week. I'll link that if you haven't seen it. But I made this skirt using the estuary skirt pattern by So Liberated and using this beautiful lightweight cotton fabric from Hey Sew Sister in collaboration with Pigeon Wishes. I'll link the fabric and pattern down below, and I'll try and link all the patterns I've talked about here, and I don't think I'll be able to link any of those fabrics, or maybe the black viscose. But I'll link whatever I can that I've been talking about wherever possible down below. But yeah, I'm really enjoying wearing this skirt today. It's just always nice to wear a new make, isn't it? And I like to try and wear a new make straight away so I get into the habit of wearing it rather than keeping it in my cupboard and thinking, oh, it's too nice, I have to keep it for a special occasion or anything. So I'll put up a picture so you can see the full outfit better. I've put a little slip underneath this skirt because I find sometimes with a cotton fabric, it can kind of ride up a bit because I'm wearing tights underneath. It can ride up a bit as I'm walking, and the slip seems to have worked really well to help that. When I was walking up to school, I didn't feel it was riding up at all. So I guess you could line it otherwise, but I find it's just easy to pop a little slip underneath rather than line my skirt. So that's just my preference. So yes, anyway, I'm going to finish off here because I'm heading out a little bit. So that's probably it for today, and I'll see you again for Thursday tomorrow. Yes, so see you tomorrow. Bye. Hello, it's Thursday here now and it's about 9:30 in the morning at the moment, so still pretty early. But I wanted to pop on now because in a moment I'm going to be heading out and I'm going to meet a couple of my friends and we're going to go for a walk around a local lake, which should be a nice way to spend a slightly overcast Thursday morning. One of my friends has a very cute dog, so she's going to bring him along. And I always enjoy seeing him whiz all over the place and probably doing about 10 times the amount of steps we do as we go around the lake. But yeah, that should be a nice morning. Probably have a cup of tea afterwards in the cafe there and just have a bit of a catch up. But I thought I'd pop on it now and share what I'm wearing from a handmade wardrobe anyway. I haven't got any sewing to share this morning because I pretty much went on the school one, got back, did a couple of household jobs and that's about it. But I can talk about what I'm wearing. And you can see behind me actually, my Davenport dress pieces are all there. I'm still umming and ahhing over the flutter. I haven't made a decision yet, so I haven't progressed that one any further. I have added the ruffle on the bottom, but that's all I've done. So it's still in pieces at the moment. But yes, what am I wearing today? Today I've got on a handmade sweatshirt, and I made this using the Solar Tea and Sweatshirt pattern by Paper Cut Patterns, which is definitely a favourite of mine, as you'll know if you've been watching my channel for a while. I really like it as a t-shirt and the sweatshirt. This is quite an old one, and I made it with the optional ruffle here. It's got this drop shoulder, this optional ruffle, which I think is a really cute detail. And it's designed to be quite a boxy fit sweatshirt, but this version, when I made it, I ended up taking it a little bit, so it fits a little bit more snugly. But the thing I love about this one particularly, as well as the ruffles, is the fabric. This is a very old Atelier Brunette fleece back sweatshirting fabric. So it's from a few years ago. They do seem to make really lightweight sweatshirting fabrics, Atelier Brunette, because I know they made a couple of prints more recently and they were similarly, lightweight, not for a super cozy sweatshirt. It feels a bit more like wearing maybe slightly thicker than a French terry, I guess. But yeah, I just love the sort of cute sort of print on this one. So it's got this black base and these little gold flecks all over it, which I think are really pretty. So I always enjoy getting this one out, even though it's a bit more of an oldie. And then I've got it on at the moment with a pair of Hudson pants by True Bias. And I popped those on this morning because my daughter and I cycled up to school today, which we don't usually do. But I thought joggers would be perfect for being on the bike, nice and comfy and practical. I'll stand up so you can see my Hudson pants. They're just a version I made quite a while ago in a plain navy French terry. And I've worn them loads. And actually, the French terry must have been quite good quality because I have another pair that are my older pairs of Hudson pants where the knees have really stretched out because it's quite a slim leg, so you do kind of stretch the knee quite a lot when you're wearing them, I find. But this pair, the recovery on this French terry must be quite good because I haven't stretched that much there, so that's quite nice. I can't remember where I got this French terry from because it's absolutely ages ago. But yeah, they're nice and practical. I'm not sure they totally go the kind of black and navy combination, but I might actually change into a pair of jeans before I head out on the walk. So I'm probably going to wear a pair of boots because I think it might be a little bit muddy. And I think jeans will work better with boots. I feel like the joggers work better with trainers maybe. So yes, anyway, that is what I'm wearing, but I'll finish up now and I'll try and take you along with me and show you a little bit of where we're walking this morning. It's quite pretty. So I'll hopefully bring you along on a little bit of that and then I'll catch up with you again a little bit later. So see you later. Bye. I'm back home now and it's actually just a couple of minutes before I need to head out on the school run, but I thought I'd pop on briefly because I have done a little bit of sewing related activity this afternoon. When I got home I did some batch cooking first of all, and I've just done a couple of little bits, so I thought I'd share them with you. So first of all, when I was having a bit of a sort out in my room, I came across a small scrap of fabric that I'd used as the hood lining for a hoodie type dress I made much earlier in the year. And there was just enough fabric to squeeze out a pair of knickers. So I've just cut out the knickers pattern pieces here. They're just in this little pile here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop them in this pattern envelope. This is the pattern I used. I love this pattern. I find it's really comfy. I I've just got the fit just right for me. The Iris Knickers pattern by Tilly and the Buttons in collaboration with Evie Lalouve. And I've already got another pair cut out in the pattern envelope. So what I think I'll do is I'm going to pop them both in there. And when I've got a couple more pairs cut out, or I need to kind of replace a couple of older pairs of knickers, I'll have a little knickers sewing session and just do a batch sew of them. So that's one small thing I'd done. I thought they would make quite a funky pair of knickers, and I thought I could either use white elastic or black elastic, and both would go quite nicely with that print. It's just a cotton jersey. And I've also done a little repair job to my daughter's hoodie, which she loves. This is her hoodie, which has got squishmallows on the front, and it's got a little kangaroo pocket, and she found there's a little hole at the bottom here. So I just got the sewing machine out and quickly sewed that seam at the bottom here, so there's no hole anymore. So hopefully she'll be pleased about that when she gets home. But I better go now, so I think I'll finish off here for the day, and I'll see you again tomorrow. So yeah, see you tomorrow. Bye. Hello, it's Friday here now, and it's a very chilly day here today. It feels like the temperature really took a drop overnight last night, and this morning for the first time our car was all frosted up, and I wore my big coat on the school run, but I wished I'd taken my gloves too because my hands were quite cold by the time I got back home. So it really feels like the first day of winter rather than autumn here today. And last night, I don't know whether there was any connection between this and the temperature dropping, but last night the skies were beautiful here. We could see the northern lights, so the skies were all lit up with like bright pinks and greens, and yeah, it looked really, really lovely. My husband and I popped out onto the drive. The children were already in bed, so they didn't see. But my husband and I popped out onto our drive and just had a little look and took a couple of pictures. And I'll pop up a picture here so you can see what it looked like. You can see the bright pink in this picture. And yeah, it was really nice to see that last night. But I don't know whether that's anything to do with the drop in temperature or just happened to be at the same time. But yeah, it's about 11:15 here in the morning at the moment. And I've been busy this morning doing a load of house jobs, getting the house tidy and clean ahead of the weekend. I haven't done anything sewing related. As you can see, my Davenport dress pieces are all just sitting over there still, and I haven't made a decision about the flutter piece. So let me know what you think. I don't think I'm going to progress it anymore this week, maybe next week. I did think I might try and squeeze in a little bit of something sewing related this afternoon before school pickup if I do have the time. I thought I might start to try and cut into this fabric here, which I got a couple of weeks ago, and I've pre-washed it this week. It's just a cotton jersey fabric that came from First for Fabrics. And I'm wanting to turn it into quite a simple jersey top, probably the Agnes top with a scoop neck, just close fitting, long sleeves. I think it's quite a pretty colour, and I'd like to get it sewn up so I can wear it. So I might try and start getting that cut out later if I have a moment. I'll link that fabric down below. I think it's still in stock. It's just a nice quality cotton jersey fabric. And then I thought I'd mention what I'm wearing today too. So I'm feeling nice and cosy in this outfit. Underneath, I've got, well recognised, another Freya top. They're definitely a staple for me at this time of year. And the one I'm wearing today, I made in this lovely wide rib knit cotton jersey fabric. And I've made Freya tops in this fabric in 3 different colours because I really love it. It feels a bit cosier than a standard cotton jersey, I guess maybe from the ribbing. And the one I'm wearing today, I can't remember the colour, I think it might be called Biscuit. I'll link the fabric and pop the colour down below. But it's got this sort of marley look to it. And yeah, it's just really nice and cosy. And I've got it underneath a sort of pinafore dress, or this is a dress actually that I like to wear through the seasons. I find it works quite well as a sundress in the summer. I just wear it on its own, but I also really like it as a pinafore dress in winter. And this dress pattern is the Cocoa Crafts honeycomb dress. So it's quite a cute dress that has some unique features. So it's got this bodice with a band collar and a button down front, and then a gathered skirt and with pockets. But the bodice is kind of panelled, which creates a really nice shape to it. And it's got these lovely ties at the side that you kind of sew into the panels, and then you kind of cinch it in around the waist with those little ties, which I think is a really cute feature. And I find, yeah, just because you can kind of cinch it in and it's not fitted, if you want to wear it as a pinafore dress in the winter, you can make it a bit looser if you've got something layered underneath, so it works really well. And the fabric I used for this version is an Atelier Brunette fabric that I got a few years ago, so I don't think it's around anymore. It is, I think they called it a cotton cambric. cotton cambric. And I remember at the time not being quite sure what that was, but it pretty much feels like a cotton lawn style fabric. It has that kind of weight and sort of smooth feel to it. And it's in this sort of dusky blue colour with these little origami birds, I think, on it. And then I kind of went for little wooden buttons down the front to try and pick out the colour of the origami birds, whatever they are. But yeah, I really like this fabric, and I think with the colour of it, it does work quite well as a winter pinafore too. I'll pop a picture up so you can see how the full outfit looks. I have got another honeycomb dress that I made in quite a bright red with big florals on, which feels really summery, and I probably wouldn't wear that one layered up with a top at this time of year, but I do find this one does work all year round quite well, and it is keeping me nice and cosy with a thick pair of tights on too. So that is what I'm wearing today, but I think I'm going to finish up this video now. I've been editing it as I go, and I'm conscious it's got a little bit longer, so I hope you've enjoyed it and enjoyed following me along this week. And do let me know if you'd be interested in me doing more of this sort of video. I'm conscious it's a bit longer, so a bit more of a time commitment to watch, and people have busy lives, so some of you might prefer a shorter video, but let me know what you think. I've enjoyed filming it, so I'd be happy to do more. But yeah, just drop me a line down below with what you think. I thought I'd also mention a big thank you to a few of you that have bought me a coffee on Ko-fi or Ko-fi. I'm never sure how to say it. I set up a Ko-fi account a few weeks ago, and I didn't want to sort of shout about it at all because I wouldn't want anyone to feel any pressure, but obviously making videos and doing these videos, I love doing it, but it does take quite a lot of time, and I do really enjoy it. But any coffees you wanted to buy me on there would be much appreciated, and they'd sort of be like the cherry on top of the cake, because I do love doing these videos. But as I said, yeah, they can be a bit time consuming with the filming and the editing and everything. So I'll link my Ko-fi account down below. If you do fancy buying me a coffee, that would be amazing, but if you don't, then no pressure either. But I thought I'd just talk about it because I realised I hadn't actually mentioned it in one of my videos. I've just sort of popped it in the description down below. So yes, thank you so much to the people who have bought me a coffee so far. I do really, really appreciate it. So anyway, I think I'll finish off here now. So if you've reached the end of this video, then thank you very much for watching. So I'm conscious it is a bit of a longer one, but I have had a lot of fun filming it, so I've just kind of sort of gone with the flow with it a little bit. If you have enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up, and I'll look forward to seeing you for another video again soon. I hope you've had a good week too and managed to fit in a bit of sewing or some sort of crafting here and there. I do find it is so good and so mindful to be able to do a little bit. I find I always feel a bit more relaxed after doing a bit of crafting. So yes, thank you again, and I'll say goodbye now. So yes, bye.